Courtside. Today we're joined by head basketball coach Colby Blaine. Colby Blaine, how are you doing today?
Great. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to catching up with you guys.
Yeah, we're glad to be here. Glad to have you on the show. We're super excited. You're one of the key members that we wanted to have on this show for a while, so we're super excited.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so to start us off, tell us about how you got started at CMI. How'd you end up at the College of Idaho?
Yeah, well, believe it or not, this is the start of year 11 already, which is crazy. I still feel like the new guy on campus. I think that's a good thing. But I was an assistant coach down at College of Southern Idaho in Twin Falls for 5 years, and I got to know our former head coach here, Scott Garson, during that time. He'd come down and recruit some of our players, and so I really got to know him at that point. And he had, after his first year, he had a coaching opportunity, had an assistant coach position open up when Ben Tucker left for another job. And so he kind of reached out to gauge my interest. And when I started to put the pieces together that my family's here in town and, the places that Coach Garson was coming from, UCLA and University of Utah, he had a lot to teach me. And so I wanted to be part of that, and I haven't left since.
That's awesome. We've obviously loved having you here. You've been such a huge part of the culture. But tell us a little bit about how the culture was at CSI and things you wanted to bring in as a head coach here and things you wanted to change and how that looked for you.
Yeah, well, one thing I've been very lucky of is I've gotten to work for 4 really incredible head coaches. And so I've taken a piece of all of them. To be honest, my style is kind of a good piece of each one of the guys that I got to work for. And so I'd say, my time at CSI, that was really the championship mentality.
Mm-hmm.
They pour into that program. It's the winningest junior college program in the country. We won the 2011 national championship. And so, part of our success in 2023 when we won the national championship was we were going to talk about it. And that actually came from my time at CSI. We were willing to talk about it out loud and figure out who we needed to become. And so I think that was, nice to bring.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah. And then you spoke about winning a national championship, College of Southern Idaho, and then you won the national championship here at College of Idaho. What other accolades have you received as a coach during your time?
Well, we've had a lot of success here, right? And so it's, we always teach our guys that if you focus on winning, then a lot of the accolades do come. And so, we do take great pride in our program of receiving Coach of the Year awards because I think that's a whole program deal, right? I can't do that without my staff, the players, executing perfectly, the fans coming to the games, the community pouring resources into us, right? So I really see that as the whole program. But, we've had countless first-team All-Americans in our time here, which is a pretty cool award to be able to put your players, as one of the best in the country. And Talon Pinckney, Samaje Morgan, Aziz Leaks, those are all guys within the last 10 years that have gotten awards like that. And so, we got a key to the city last year. That was a really cool recognition, right? That the Mayor Wagner reached out and gave us a key. I've still been waiting to try that at McDonald's, but I haven't got over there yet. But certainly we've gotten a lot of recognition with our success.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really great to hear. And kind of taking a little bit of a turn from just basketball, we know that you're super invested in the community and trying to build that up, not only at school here with our students, but also just for Caldwell in general. So tell us a little bit about the Legacy program for our viewers that don't know.
Yeah, well, we've been growing the Legacy program for a while now, but it's got a lot of meaning behind it, specifically for me and everybody who's jumped on board. But long story short, I grew up in the home of an educator. My dad was a history teacher for 35 years, right? Mr. Blaine, I had him in 8th grade. So that's what I know is schools,
Yep.
Right? I've always been part of the school system, the education system. And so if I wasn't coaching, I would probably be teaching. I got my degree in history, and so I'd probably be teaching. But when I got the head job, I wanted to do something with our local schools. And so, we put the ideas together, and I had some good mentors who told me to take a year and really think about it and not rush into it. And so we kind of came to this concept of going into our local elementary schools. So we're in the Caldwell School District and the Valley View School District, which is 13 elementary schools. It's over 4,500 students. And we go in, we do an assembly with them, and we give them some of our experiences of how we give back to each other, how we give back to our community, and how that makes us feel, right? Like that's where, for us in our program, that's where happiness comes from, is giving back to others. And so we explain that to the kids, and then we challenge them to do volunteer work, right? That's how they can give back to others in the community. And so they do a certain amount of hours, and when they complete their program, they get a free ticket to come to one of our games. The Valley View School District has a chance to come to the football game here, soon in October, and then later in January, we'll have the Caldwell School District coming to basketball games. But it's grown over 5 years. Like I said, we're engaging with 4,500 students now in Canada, and it's just been really fun to see, kids start to, put years together and the things that they're doing in the community to get those hours in.
Absolutely. That sounds incredible. I've been a part of some of those events, and I think it's so much fun to get to know them and kind of share the impact that they have on just this entire community altogether.
Yeah. Well, I think the cool thing too is, whenever we talk about this program, we're always talking about giving back to the kids. But the cool thing is I think we need it too, right? You guys have been to the recess and you've been to the assemblies, and it keeps that youthful spirit, and it lets you know, like, hey, I can just be goofy and funny at times, and but you're making a big impact. So we need it as student athletes here too.
Most certainly. And then to shift back to College of Idaho basketball, last year, had a really great season, and then this season we're looking to follow up with that. What's the season look like this year with new key players and then players that you lost from last year?
Yeah, well, last year every year teaches us a lot, right? And we had a fantastic season, 32-4. We're tied in the Final Four game, and with 42 seconds to go, we had a chance to go back to the national championship, and so no complaints. It was a fantastic season, right? But we've established this national championship quest every year, and so now it's perspective on what we're able to accomplish every year. But last year we learned that our roles are always changing, no matter who's coming back, right? That people grow, people change, people move into different positions that the team needs. And so that last year really taught us that we had different guys starting, we had different guys playing different roles, different minutes, right? And so it really taught us coming into this year that we really need to be aware of these feelings, these emotions, this growth, right? And we need to get ahead of it. And so this fall so far, starting practice, we're really trying to shape who do we all need to be in the roles that we're fighting for, right? Or that everybody's gonna have a role at some point, right? But this year's team is extremely strong. We're old, we're physical, we're experienced. We bring back 13 total players from last year's Final Four team, and we bring back 9 of our guys that played in that rotation. So, we can usually only play about 9 or 10. And so we have as much experience as we've ever had, but that can sometimes be a curse if you just think that, we always use the word that we want to be unstoppable at some point in the season. And we are far from being unstoppable right now, and that's what we have to relearn.
Thankfully, it's early and you guys have plenty of time to kind of figure out your roles and stuff like that. But also playing on top of that, what have you seen as the biggest impact basketball has had on these athletes outside of just their athletic careers and what they look for moving forward upon graduation and things like that? Because you've seen so many athletes come through your programs.
Yeah, and that's a fantastic question because it's literally the epitome of our whole program. We truly believe that the better we get in life, the better we get at basketball, right? And our staff, we love to use the game of basketball to try to teach our guys how to be successful off the court, right? And so I think the cool thing that we see guys go from freshman to senior year is we see this growth in obviously in maturity, but it's learning balance. That how do I chase my dreams on the court, but actually figure out that maybe less is more, meaning I don't need to spend 8 hours in the gym all day, right? I don't need to, maybe if I read a book for 30 minutes, I might actually be a better basketball player, right? Or maybe if I go to dinner with my parents or I make a phone call to a friend I haven't talked to for a while, we really, showcase throughout our season to our guys the more balance they find. And then on top of that is we're not asking you to not do your work on the court, right? Yeah. But I think what we see in our players' time when they're with us is they learn how to be really efficient with their time on the court and in the weight room and doing basketball stuff. And so they realize there's this balanced life. And when they find that balance, life gets really good in a hurry, right? And so then you see what we all see on the court when our games tip off. You see a team that has a lot of fun and a lot of joy, but that's because they're working really hard on themselves to grow. So that's the most enjoyable part of watching players go through the program.
Yeah, absolutely.
The season last year we had big attendance record for the basketball games. What does that mean to you guys that every time you guys come onto the court warming up, you see that Jake is packed out every time?
Look, it means the world, right? When you're growing up, I tell every recruit this: College of Idaho is what you dream of. When you're growing up and you're on, you're in your yard or you're at the schoolyard playing at recess and you're counting down the score or whatever, and you're with your 4th grade friends, like you're dreaming of having fans there, right? And competing for championships and having the band play during your warm-ups, right? And like, that's what the Caldwell is. And so to me, like it's a dream, and then you get reality when you do visit other schools. And unfortunately, sometimes there's not the community that's investing there, right? And so it's a real reminder to us how lucky we are to have the people that pour into us with their energy, with their time, with their resources. But yeah, last year we led the country again for the second time in a row with 1,507 fans per night at our basketball games. So the motto this year is 1508. Everybody counts. We just need more people. We continue to put more people in those stands, and we have a hard time losing games when those fans are packed and that student section's rowdy in the front. It's another sixth man for us.
Absolutely. And kind of going back a little bit more, you have always shown your dedication and appreciation to the students and the student body and stuff like that. So I'm just curious, what are ideas that you have moving forward with the legacy program and how you want to see that grow in the future?
Yeah, well, I love the student section, and I'll be honest with you, I may seem like I'm comfortable with it all the time, but I'm just as shy as everybody else. So I try to, it reminds me to get out of my comfort zone and get over there and get rowdy and crazy. In fact, I just saw the coyote mask in my office the other day that I can put on for a championship. I don't know if that was you, Devin, that actually tossed that to me a couple of years ago, but somebody did. Somebody tossed me the coyote, the hat. But anyway, so I appreciate our student section because they let me get out of my comfort zone a little bit and they make it fun. But with the legacy program, it is our community initiative to try to get our young people to learn where happiness comes from. But we do also, gain more fans and gain more attendance at our games and more energy, which we really appreciate. And so, we would love, I think each year we host about 250 total elementary students and their families on top of that come to our games. Man, I would love to have a game where the fire marshal's saying, hey, no more people can get in here, right? I mean, that would be the dream, is like 2,500 people packed in there, loud and crazy and having the time of their life. And so we still have room to put more people in the seats. And I think the more we pour back into the legacy program and really showing our students and our teachers and staff, you go into those schools and the teachers and the staff are the one that are there all day, really pouring into the kids. And so I think the more we can pour into all of them, the better our community gets. And then, of course, the more they'll pour into our games.
Absolutely.
So you're a key figure on campus. A lot of students on campus know who you are. What are some advice you have for students at the 4 years for college bound up?
Ooh, really good question. I'm jealous. I didn't have a chance to be a student at the College of Idaho, right? I mean, if I could go back, I am putting my application in and I'm going to enjoy every minute of it. But I tell our guys this all the time, our young guys, is to be slow with your emotions and the journey. Like, you don't have to, you're not running a sprint, it's a marathon. And so as you start to figure out who you want to be, who your friend group is, what extracurricular activities you want to get into and what balance you want to have in your life, it's a 4-year process. And the College of Idaho is built in all areas: athletics, academics, administration, extracurricular activities. Like, this is what I love about the college, is that we're all moving in the same direction. We all share the same ideologies. That our coaches share the same ideologies as our professors. Like, we're going to push you. We're going to hold you accountable, right? We're going to showcase to you what you're capable of. And so if you'll just allow yourself to go through each phase of the campus and not be in a rush to have a perfect situation in 1 week or 2 weeks, right? Then by the time you get to the end, you look back and you say, man, I can't believe who I've become, and it's for the better. So my best advice would just be slow, enjoy every moment, stay present, stop worrying about the future. It'll come.
Yeah, that's such great advice. And I think moving forward, a lot of athletes can take that to heart. But also looking ahead into your guys' season, what's some of the things in your culture that you really try to instill within your players so that they can apply it both to the classroom, to their athletic careers, things like that? Because from an outside perspective, you guys look like such a disciplined and hardworking team. And so I think other programs and other students would love to know what that looks like.
Sure. Well, I think we have a lot of mottos and concepts, which I read in a book one time, that it's okay the good cultures have a lot of stuff. So I'm okay with having a ton. But I think a couple main concepts, maybe specifically for our team, is that everybody matters. We work in circles. Like, it's something you'll notice. It's kind of maybe subconscious when you see it, but we have circles on a lot of our stuff now. You look at our gear and there's circles, and I don't have a circle on today, but you start to look at some of our gear, you'll see our new purple jerseys. The CI has a circle around it, and that has a purpose. That it's going to take, we have 20 people in our program, 16 players, 4 coaches. We've got our athletic trainer, 21. We've got our student assistant, 22, right? We have our whole community. We all matter. Like if anybody's rowing against the boat, in the different direction, we're not going to get where we want to get to, right? And so I think what we really try to showcase to everybody is their value, and everybody's got to play different roles. In athletics, we believe that minutes in a game establish our success. And we work really hard to showcase how you can bring success to a team or a family or a group in other ways outside of minutes, right? So I think our players leave our program with that, and hopefully consciously, and when they have their family someday or they're running a business, hopefully that's the energy that they'll provide. I also think individually, we really try to get our guys to understand the urgency and the detail and the maturity that you need if you really do want to chase big dreams, right? Everybody's got different goals in life, but if you're committed to really chasing big dreams in any part of your life, you gotta have some urgency about you, and you gotta be detailed, right? And then once you establish that about yourself, then you can have some balance and some fun with it. But so that's where the intensity comes from. You guys are probably wondering, why is he stomping his feet? See, guys, we want that urgency so we can feel that the fun after the win, right? So maybe those two things.
Yeah, really great insight.
And then you have a great coaching staff that's along with you. So how important is it to have those coaching, like the coaching staff by your side?
Yeah, it's it's beyond important. Maybe it's the most important part of our whole program, to be honest. I mean, I've got Manny Morgan, who played here, went to college here, so he knows how this whole thing works, right? He knows all the things our players are going through. And now he's been with me this is his 5th year. And then Jacob McLeod and Chris Coots are starting their 3rd year. And so that's a long time, to have a coaching staff together. Honestly, all 3 years, and then Manny with me for 5 is a long time in college basketball. And I've made a real commitment in the last couple of years to do whatever we can to try to keep them. I do know that the funny thing is like our responsibility is to provide opportunities for people to move on and try new things. But some of me is like, you know what, we got 40 more years in this thing. Sometimes if you're in a good place, my ideology has almost changed, that it's like slow down and enjoy it, because we're not, at some point we'll move in different directions. Our staff will, grow into different roles. But so right now we're trying to do whatever we can to provide them financial resources and growth in their careers, because we have a blast together. Again, and our guys really respect our staff, and they really help grow them. I'm only around a small percentage of their total day, our players' total day. Our staff gets to be with them a little bit more. And so the growth you see in our guys is a lot of our staff.
For sure. And so kind of to keep looking at your program specifically, what excites you the most about this group that you had this year?
A lot excites me. I'm very excited. I know in my heart that they know what it takes to have, and that could be, when I say what it takes, that could be the answer to anything: to have a good experience, to win a national championship, to enjoy practice, to give back to the community. Like, I can look at this group and I can say, here's what we need to do. And then they get it. They know, right? Sometimes we're tired after homework or whatever, or we've lost a basketball game, or something's going on with, in our social lives. They know the tools and the answers to be able to enjoy the whole journey. And so I'm really excited about that. And I want to be very present with that this year and just soak that up, because you graduate 6, 7, 8 guys, and then you bring in a really young group who don't know. They don't have those tools yet, right? And so then you got to show some patience and different things. So I'm going to be very present with that this year. They know what it takes to be successful.
Absolutely.
But I think we're all excited for the season coming up. And so for the fans who are also excited, what message do you have for them?
My message is to plan out your days and come to our games. You do not want to miss this. And that sounds cliche, but if you've ever been to a College of Idaho game before, there's just a different feeling. There's a vibe, there's that something about the team that just radiates, right? And something about the fans and the community. You don't want to miss this. We're going to be one of the best teams in the country. We're going to compete at a really high level, and we're going to play the game the right way and share our stories through our team. And so my message is plan out your days and get to some games.
Absolutely. thank you so much for your time and getting to give us some of this insight. I know you're super busy and have season kind of wrapped up soon, so we really appreciate it and appreciate our questions that you have answered for us. Thank you, Yote fam, for tuning in to another episode. We hope you enjoyed hearing from Coach Blaine and look forward to catching their upcoming season. We'll see you in the next episode.